All right, I just want to follow up this idea for a second, that the reason why Lieberman is getting such good response, you're a Jewish man, right?
That's correct.
You're the Christian right, we could say.
Well, I'm
Christian and you're on the right. Okay,
well,
that's the Christian right.
no, I
And
always
you two agree
object to
on
that.
this.
I'm a
That's
Christian.
what it is. You think
on
the
the
coarsening
coarseness
of America.
I
And
believe
that's
that.
where Lieberman is winning hearts and minds.
No, except for one thing. I think the coarseness of the country goes a little bit beyond just curse words on people's t-shirts.
Oh, of course, I'm just giving an example.
Because one of the problems, and I think actually Lieberman's a good example of this problem. You can talk a good game all you want, and he talked a good game on Bill Clinton and got up there and was all bold about the president and how awful it was and so forth and so on, then voted right along with the rest of his colleagues to do nothing about it.
Because there's an alternative way to deal with it.
No,
it was an alternative way to deal with it.
He's supposed to stand there, and he's the Orthodox Jewish person and so forth and so on. You read anywhere in the Bible you want, and the business of sticking scissors into the heads of babies who are about to be born, partial birth abortion, is not countenance. You want coarseness? The murdering of babies in the womb is just about as coarse as you get, and that's the serious sort.
A baby who is raised without parents and is set out into the world alone, in a world of poverty and drugs, that's the horror. That's the horror of the world. That's the horror. I really believe that. You believe that? No, for me to decide.
That is the sickest. Excuse me. That is the sickest mentality.
You cannot decide.
You are then.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
One at a time, Ambassador.
You are then going to tell me that we're going to look at all the folks out there who have started out in the world poor and deprived and with bad situations and parents and this and that, and tell them they'd be better off dead. Tell them they should never have gotten here. Tell them that their lives are worthless. Well, I don't believe they're worthless, because I know too many people like that.
I'm not saying the lives are worthless.
It's not your decision. What do you mean? It's not your decision. It's not your responsibility.
But it's my decision to let others make a decision.
Absolutely. Well,
why not?
If only,
Why isn't it my decision?
Wait. If only we had a woman here to speak. Only a woman.
Are you getting enough fiber? Because we will never agree on what you just stated, so that's a given. But it is no one's business to ever legislate that, ever. And if you believe that...
Yeah, and that, you know what, Elayne, the thing that I always try to point out to people is one of the things that fires me up on this particular issue, because I understand its implications. That is exactly the statement that was made by people in the 1830s about slavery. My property, nobody's business. And you know what they said against it? You know what they said against it? They said that according to our basic principle, all of us are created equal and endowed not by a mother's choice, but by God Almighty with our rights. And you don't have the right to step in and say that mother can now take the place of God and destroy what He has said.
I would agree with that.
That's our principle.
I would agree.
let's spend money on sex education.
I would agree with that slavery statement if the slave had to live in my womb to exist.
Correct. You are equating a parcel of land with a child. Go ahead.
The sad thing about that, the situation of that babe in the womb is a situation where the mother has absolute power and control. The babe is completely dependent. That means that you are telling me now that might makes... No, let me agree. Might makes right, and because you have absolute power over somebody, you have the absolute right to abuse their life.
I have the absolute right to take a commercial. Let her start it now.
Tomorrow when our guest will be from the new movie Coyote Ugly, Piper Perabo and Maria Bello, recording artist Leanne Ryan, and producer Jerry Bruckheimer.
All right, as usual, we got on to the abortion debate. Let's leave that out. You got your say. I don't want to hear it anymore. But one of the problems people have when people make that debate is that they say, you know, there's a lot of hypocrisy among those who set themselves up as moral exemplars. Having been raised Catholic, I certainly know among those are priests, and most priests are very good men. But listen to this story. Up in San Francisco, the Archdiocese has fired all the teenagers who work in the rectory. The rectory, it sounds dirty, but it's where the priests live. And like many archdioceses, they've had lawsuits because, look, it's just a fact of life. Priests, a lot of times, molest boys, okay? They're celibate, and it's a magnet for homosexual pedophiles.
Did they fire the girls?
They fired the girls too.
Well, at least
and so they're saying basically that isn't that admitting that the system doesn't work when they're saying, look, we can't have teenage people around the priests or else trouble is going to start.
That's precisely why. Absolutely. That's precisely why a lot of people objected, and it was a bad decision, and they've gone back on it. You cannot take a position that all priests are guilty of this kind of thing, or even most priests. And the decision they originally
took... But it attracts. The priesthood attracts pedophiles. It doesn't attract normal men.
The priesthood, that's a
normal
lie.
men, that is a lie. That's not a lie.
You're going to hell.
I've been there. Don't worry.
I think it attracts both very good men and both very weird men.
Yeah, just like
weird men. Yeah,
just like just about every other profession in this world. You're going to get a mixed bag, but you get more people who are interested in serving God and doing spiritual work these days requires a degree of selflessness that most people are not capable of.
You're calling it an elevated singles bar, is what you're just saying.
Do you know why the Catholic Church doesn't allow marriage? Do you know why they don't allow the priests to marry? You know, in the 1500s...
They would have teenage children later, and then it would be terrible.
That's right. No. The wife and the Catholic Church allowed priests to get married in the 1500s. The Greek Orthodox and Russian Orthodox, the priests can be married, and they come from the same place. The reason being is they're allowing the priest to marry. The priest would die. The wife and children would inherit the church.
Right.
That's what they stopped it.
So that's not nonsense. No, it's not nonsense. Christianity is about keeping women.
Absolutely.
And I'm no big woman down.
And I had actually heard it was in the 1800s.
Hey, you two are supposed to be on the same side.
Every pope who has defended the doctrine has made a serious argument about the pastoral responsibilities of the priesthood. You can agree with it. Excuse me. You can agree with it or disagree with it, but don't put a lot of silly bunk like this on the table. The truth is, however, that this decision they took, I disagree with it heartily. Telling folks that you won't have teenagers who are going to be working with the priest is a little bit like parents saying that because their children knock stuff off the coffee table, they're going to put it up out of their reach. No, you don't take the stuff out of the children's reach. You make sure that you have educated your children not to destroy what's on the coffee table, and that means you have to take care and take a responsible approach.
I want to take you aside and say when Father Flanagan.
I said we voted off the island.
Hold on. Are you talking about?
This isn't about educating the children. The children in this case are the priests.
Absolutely.
And you have to make sure that you have trained and formed and disciplined the priests.
The church doesn't discipline.
But that's what they need to do. Not try to pretend that priests don't work.
They should allow the priests to marry, Catholic priests to marry, give the altar boys' rectums a break. Am I right?
The thing I
didn't mean that. I mean the altar boys in the rectory. Sorry.
The thing I find fascinating.
Give the altar boys in the rectory a break.
Discussions of things like this these days always degenerate to the point where we actually think that you make decisions on theological and religious matters by majority vote based on somebody's idea of what you feel like today.
It was the church.
I have a question. Hold on. Let me just
ask one question.
The folks in the church have a responsibility. They have a responsibility to consult occasionally. I know it's not going to be popular these days because you don't even want to mention, but occasionally they have a responsibility to consult God's will, not just their own whim.
Occasional responsibility to interrupt you, Mr. Ambassador, and take it from there.
If you're planning to be in the Los Angeles area and would like free tickets to Politically Incorrect, call 323-575-4321.
Whenever we talk about Catholics, I get the old guilt from going to church. I just want to say, the candles, the wine, it's very romantic. All right, tomorrow, Piper Perabo, Maria Bello, Leanne Rimes, and Jerry Bruckheimer.